Jeff Stacey is a former State Department official in the Obama administration. Currently, he's a national security and development consultant who's worked with the United Nations, NATO, and the World Bank, and the Asian Development Bank. He's also working on a book that will be titled Rise of the East, End of the West. You may have gotten an entire chapter today, I guess, huh?
It's changing right under our feet, I'm afraid.
Let me talk to you. I'm not going to talk about the Trump tweets because everybody seems to focus on them. I want to focus on one of yours. You wrote, Trump buried bad economic news with the Greenland red herring, and the news media bought it hook, line, and sinker. That's, of course, a criticism of my business, and I've heard it a lot. Here's the shiny object. The news media chases that when all this stuff is going on over there. Of course, we got the G7 summit coming up. In fact, I saw one headline, will Trump blow up the G7? Again, illustrating his capacity to kind of get online and stuff. Talk to me about all of this.
Well, he's basically delivering shocks to his own economy, and it's interdependent with the world economy. We're going to see this when he arrives in France for the G7, and ahead of that, he's already, in a sense, complaining out of one side of his mouth about the Fed chairman not helping him out and his re-election prospects, which is what this really is all about. On the other hand, he's deepening a trade war where China thinks that they'd rather deal with him, this transactional president, instead of his advisors, who are harping on the Chinese, rightfully so, for all the intellectual property theft over years and years and years.
I've heard from some, though, and I think it's a legitimate criticism, and I want to get your thoughts on it, that it doesn't seem like there's a strategy. I mean, you can enter into an agreement with somebody if you know, okay, this is what their objective is, this is how far they'll go, but it's a moving object. And that's one of the problems China has, but not just China, but a number of countries that are trying to do deals with this administration.
Absolutely correct. I mean, you've got Trump misperceiving China, China misperceiving Trump, and a deepening trade war that is hurting both economies. I mean, a 30-year low over in their economy, and obviously when you see the Dow go down 600 points when already the markets didn't respond to the earlier China announcement of tariffs, or a couple of other indicators here, and then boom, a couple of tweets and down we go, 2.3%. That's a big chunk. That sends signals to, and this comes right with his warnings to U.S. companies to get out of China. And they're saying, absolutely no way. That's not possible to do.
Yeah, and Trump said a trade war would be easy to win. We see no signs of him budging. We see no signs of China budging. Where's the off-ramp?
Probably Trump will have to bite it because he's increasingly, we see this in terms of his other series of tweets, looking for someone to blame about something or pick a fight with Greenland slashed one of our oldest allies, Denmark, just to do the distracting of attention. He's now getting advice from his own advisors that the economy is headed south. He's desperate to do something about it, but he's already alienated our European allies, and he could be doing the TPP trade deal with all of them, get some extra economic growth out of that. That would help his re-election, but I'm afraid he's already closed off that vantage point.
It looks like a game of chicken in a sense,
Yes.
Each side looking for the other to blink first. But there's a risk here, and a lot of people were talking about the global economy and what the risk is there. Are you concerned about that? Are you also concerned there's been these discussions about a recession here in the United States? I mean, what do you see as the global outlook looking forward?
Right, so we are starting to see slowdowns across the world, from China to Germany, other data coming in that is confirming this, indicators that say in a way we're already in a kind of recession. So the G7 is coming up. It's the ideal place to get some concerted effort, from signals to central bankers on one hand to fiscal relief on the other hand, some positive trade news about something, a target they'll put out there just to send signals to the markets, and maybe a little coordination that could help. But we're already expecting, given the last two experiences with this president attending this gathering, to the point where the French have already said privately they're not even thinking about issuing a communique. That has never happened before.
And Jeff, you worked in the Obama administration, so you know clearly how important this relationship is between the United States and China. And we also know about globalization. I mean, if this guy gets hit, this guy's hurt as well. And also relationships. I mean, they're built on trust. It seems like that's what's been eroded here. How do you, once this is all rectified, once there's a deal, if there is a deal, How do you rebuild that trust?
It's tough because you now have Trump calling Xi, his former friend, an enemy. He's using that word. And we have Hong Kong, which has been going on for weeks and weeks, and a threat, a real specter of a new Cold War. If China sends the troops over to crush this revolt, then Trump couldn't control that either. And then we've really got
There's been no indication that that's going to happen. We should put that out there.
We're hoping. A lot of us are speaking openly about it to signal that it's worth China rethinking any incentive they have to do such a thing, because it would for sure signal to everyone here, the U.S. foreign policy establishment, all our allies, that China is moving into a new sort of global authoritarian phase, which it hasn't done so far. It's focused on trade relationships. It's focused on the Belt and Road Initiative. There are some positive aspects to that, and really, it doesn't have to be this way. Trump could be the guy that pulls a Nixon to China. If they can pull themselves out of this ditch, do a deal, if Hong Kong doesn't get interfered with, then there are prospects to find some other issues to work together on, and that's where we need to head. Something like a new trade deal with Asian allies that includes China this time. There are lots of things that we can do, but right now you have China teaming up with Russia, basically buzzing U.S. allies in Asia, signaling that these things are starting to spiral in the wrong direction.
There would be some who say that the U.S. is pushing them in that direction, of course. But Jeff, thank you so much for coming in. Appreciate it.
Thank you.